Hey everybody, my name is Jeff Lewis and you can reach me at jefflewistrumpet.com. I've got many free PDFs there, including the one you're about to hear. It's a range study that I am pretty excited about. I've been doing it for the last year or so. I've been recently trying to change my embouchure into something a little bit more efficient. Aren't we all? And I found out that really we are teaching ourselves how to play. Because you can ask a million different trumpet players and they're all going to say different things about their jaw position, their embouchures and air and tongue and this, that, and the other thing. So I'm pretty much relegated to the fact that I'm going to help myself as well as still search for some answers. And I'm still asking some of the great players here in town who play lead. And I'd like to go down that road myself a little bit more than I have in the past. So I tried some different embouchures, and what I'm stumbling on is this range study called the Expanding Scales Range Study. I believe it's by Bill Adams, possibly. I've written it out with my take on it. It goes a little bit higher. I've written it at AA, but I have learned that there are some things that you need to do, or at least I'm trying to do, in order to play it correctly. So I believe it is important to continue with the air and do each exercise in one breath. Many times, some of my students will be doing things like this. They'll do a reset, and I think that's really harmful because now you have two embouchures. You have a low setting and then a high setting. So I think it's important to do this exercise in one breath. And they start from wherever they left off or where they airballed. And now you have two settings. You have a low embouchure setting and a high embouchure setting. This isn't bad for a lot of players. I know some who can adjust on the fly. I'm not one of them. So I'm trying to play through and have a smooth connect between all the notes, just connecting with air, one breath, and all slurred. Then I'm trying to hold the top note and try to get it in tune as best I can. I'm staring at a tuner, and on the high note, I'm trying to get that in tune, as well as all the notes sounding clean and clear and with the same color. The other thing I'm trying to do is not to play too loud. I'm sure you've heard this a million times on YouTube, where you're going to play your range study somewhere around mezzo piano and don't blow your brains out on the high note. A lot of times people will say, you know, blow more air, blow more air. And what you end up doing is blowing your aperture apart, and it's even more difficult to play the high notes really loud. It's one of the most difficult things to do on the trumpet is play screaming high notes. Now, that's not to say I don't try to do that, especially after I do this exercise. I'll rest a little bit. And that's the other thing, is I'm resting in between each line momentarily. It's the golden rule of trumpet: practice, rest as much as you play. Just an FYI, I'm using the Bobby Shew lead mouthpiece by Yamaha. It gives me a little bit more zing on the high notes. It is a little bit easier to hit the higher notes. I can't play really any much higher, but I can play it a little bit easier. And it also changes my tone, so I've got a little bit of a brighter sound when I do play the lead mouthpiece. I go back and forth between this and the Bobby Shew jazz mouthpiece. Recently I've been reading the Philip Farkas book on the embouchure entitled The Art of Brass Playing, and he also mentions the jaw. I really wish I had read this book when I was in high school. Had I seen the graphic of him showing the jaw forward and even with the top teeth somewhere in there, I think it would have changed things 40 years ago when I was really getting into it. And I never even thought about the jaw. So I'm going to talk about the jaw in a separate embouchure video and go over my thoughts on that and how that's been working out for me. Basically what I'm doing is I'm trying to play a little bit more forward and I guess you would say upstream, or really it's even stream, parallel stream we're going to call it. Actually, that's not a term. But it seems to be helping. It seems to make sense. Now I just need, as my friends say, more FaceTime and try to work that out. So let's recap. Expanding scales range study exercise modified. Be sure to play it in one breath. Hold the top note. Try to play it in tune as best you can. Play softly. Don't blow your brains out. And be sure to rest in between each line. If you're interested in subscribing to my newsletter, you will receive 11 scales for jazz improvisation for free. Don't forget to go to my website, jefflewistrumpet.com, for more free PDFs like this: tonguing, range studies, jazz licks in 12 keys. I've got some transcribed solos. I have some lip slurs. I also have some buzzing exercises that people seem to like. If you found this video helpful, please don't forget to subscribe, like, hit that thumbs up. Thanks for watching, happy practicing, and I'll catch you in the next video.